Here's my tip for anyone under scrutiny from the police. As soon as you try to hide something, you make it glaringly visible, like those enormous buildings and bridges that are sometimes wrapped in white cloth by artists, making everyone stare and point at them. Pull off the cloth and you've got an unremarkable office block or a congested commuter route across water. People walk past with their heads down, oblivious. Tell the police the truth immediately and in detail. All your sleazy lies, all your unsavoury personal habits. And no one will pay a scrap of attention. It's kind of obvious. When you hide, people seek. Whereas when you talk about something that matters to you, no one listens. Ever. That is the main way in which human beings are reliable. Standing before detectives, I decided straight away that I mustn't appear to be a mystery. For as long as I was one, there was a danger I'd look like one. So when I first went to the police, I held up my secret and waved it around ostentatiously, like an ID card in a wallet. Here's my secret, now let me pass. I gleaned a perverse satisfaction from giving it up straight away. Truth is, I felt a little bit ashamed to be involved with murder detectives hunting a serial killer in the role of boring goody two-shoes who'd done nothing wrong. So I decided to try and annoy them. A detective's job is to ferret out what people are hiding. So how irritating must it be for them when someone's opening gambit is, "Let me tell you everything." Imagine how furious Jamie Oliver would be if he opened his oven and found a perfectly cooked Christmas dinner with all the trimmings that somebody had prepared earlier. That's how the police must feel when members of the public cooperate with them. The Narrow Bed is the latest in my series of psychological thrillers featuring Simon Waterhouse, my police detective, and his various dysfunctional colleagues. It's the story of a stand-up comedian called Kim Tribbeck. And Kim is a very interesting character. She's got all kinds of sort of troubled situations in her past that she's trying to not think about, and she's estranged from her family. So she's got problems even before the book begins. But the book begins when she realises that she is the next target of a serial killer who has so far killed 4 people. Simon Waterhouse and his colleagues have joined forces with 3 other regional police forces in the UK because these murders have happened all over the country. So all these different police teams are they've formed a group, and they are trying to catch this serial killer who colloquially has become known as Billy Deadmates because he's been killing pairs of best friends. So the first 2 victims were best friends with each other, although killed separately. And the 3rd and the 4th victims were best friends with each other. So finally the police think they've got a pattern and that he is the best friends killer, Billy Deadmates. They think it's all to do with friendship. Kim Tribbeck then has reason to believe that he's targeted her next because he sends her a strange little white book with strange words in it that make no sense, and this is what he does before each time he kills someone. And then both Kim and the police are really baffled by this because not only does Kim not have a best friend, but she makes a point of having no friends at all. So how and why could she possibly be the next target of the best friend's killer? So while she's trying to work out what it could be in her personal life that has made this killer target her, the police are trying to work out if the pattern is not that he's killing pairs of best friends, then what on earth is going on? All my novels begin either with a brilliant idea for a sort of mystery opening plot hook for a crime novel, or with a brilliant idea for a solution or twist at the end. I never seem to start with anything else. It's always either what's the opening question or what turns out to be going on. And for The Narrow Bed, the first spark of inspiration was I thought of a really unusual motive for murder, for a series of murders. And I don't think I've ever written a serial killer book before. It's possible that I have, and I just can't remember it at the moment because I've written quite a few books by now. But I don't think I have. And serial killers normally are motivated by either, there's a particular type of victim and they just kill many instances of that type of person. And I just thought of a fantastic and really unusual motive that a killer might have for killing, in particular, pairs of people. And of course, it turns out, I mean, this isn't giving too much away, the police think they've got the pattern. They think it's about best friends, but it's not about best friends. And the key to solving the crime is working out what this pattern is. Trouble is, until more people are killed, it's harder to see the pattern. Obviously, the police don't want anyone else to get killed, but in a way, their only hope of solving it is to see how the pattern develops. So I just had this brilliant idea, or what I thought was a brilliant idea, a very strange idea for why someone might want to kill pairs of people. Kim as a main character was huge fun to write because she's not only a stand-up comedian, but she's the kind of stand-up comedian her material is quite dark. She has a very sort of stroppy, sarcastic take on life. Her humour is quite vicious, and it's really good fun to write a stroppy, sarcastic character who's not scared of what they say to people or what they think about people. So Kim, in a way, like many of my female protagonists actually, Kim is much darker and ruder and stroppier and more sarcastic than I would ever be in real life. I'm always incredibly diplomatic and, I'll go out of my way to make people feel comfortable, even if those people are being rude to me. But I think probably at some level deep down I might resent that. So when I write a female protagonist, I tend to make her quite stroppy and no nonsense. So the first thing almost Kim says in the book is that when she goes to the police, she kind of wants to wrong foot them. So instead of keeping things back, she immediately walks into the detective's office and tells them a whole range of scurrilous things about her past and affairs she's had and all the things she's ever done wrong, and kind of treats it a bit like a comedy routine to disarm the police. So she's kind of also vying for power with the detectives and wanting to work out what's going on before they do. She was good fun to write. A lot of my books nowadays are quite influenced by the way in which technology has changed our lives. So everybody is online all the time. I'm on Twitter all the time, watching people have ridiculous fights about stupid things and, politics and music, and everything gets argued about online. And one thing I've noticed is that this has changed the way people talk about murders. If there is a murder that's happened and it's in the news and it's being discussed online, a thing that happens now that never used to happen is that different interest groups start battling with each other in order to get to define what's happened. So, if a man murders a woman, immediately people suffering from depression will say, excuse me, just because he was depressed, don't say that depression was the motive, because I've been depressed for 45 years and I've never murdered anyone. And feminists will say, a man murdered a woman, it must be misogyny that's the motive. And, people with ginger hair say, hang on a minute, the woman had ginger hair, it must be anti-ginger prejudice that's the motive. And everybody sort of wants to get the right to say, I know what this is about. And this has really changed the way motive is discussed. In sort of terrorist crimes, for example, the terrorist might say they're doing it for their cause, but then someone else will say, this isn't about, they might say it's about that, but it's not about that. What it's really about is that they're a lonely young man and nobody gave them enough love as a child. And there's this constant sort of battle to sort of, for the right to have ownership of the motive. It used to be that a killer would get to say what their motive was, and everyone would say, you're a horrid killer, but they wouldn't say, no, that wasn't your motive. So in The Narrow Bed, one thing I've tried to do is reflect, because it's a contemporary novel, the serial killer is committing crimes in the digital age, and the crimes are well publicised because they're happening all over the country, and people are arguing about the meaning of the crimes. So there's a sort of famous feminist journalist in the book who keeps insisting that whatever the police think about this best friends nonsense, what's really going on is a sort of misogynist anti-women killing spree, because 3 of the 4 victims so far are women. The serial killer who is a presence in the book, the serial killer has a bit of narration in the book as well. The serial killer is furious to be told that he or she is a misogynist, because nothing could be further from the truth, and it has nothing to do with the motive. The motive is something completely different. So then the serial killer is actually affronted because he or she is doing this for a very specific reason and wants this reason to be known, because this person does have a cause, and it's nothing to do with men or women or anything like that. So I just quite like the idea of, a killer who sort of objects to the way they're portrayed in the media, essentially, because I think that's going to happen more and more.